Okay, let's get this fired back up as we do have another severe thunderstorm warning for our northwestern portion of our viewing area. This is one of the things we were talking about earlier and kind of concerned about maybe some more storms trying to push in and give us one last push of just kind of some severe weather. So let's take a look at that here as we'll change towards our Memphis radar to get the best visual look on it. We were looking at this earlier with a few kind of pop-up showers and rumbles. I'm not quite seeing anything severe, but after it crossed over the Mississippi River, maybe even got that much extra moisture from the river itself to try to give us one last push. We're going to continue to talk about this severe thunderstorm warning. So this is for Tate, Tunica, and portions of Quitman and Panola counties out here in northwest Mississippi and the northern portions of the Delta. You guys are going to be under the severe thunderstorm warning until 1:15. So we got another 30 minutes until this is set to expire. So most likely we'll continue to probably see this go the entire way just with how slow these continue to move. That has been the theme so far today. I'll make sure. Okay, we have y'all coming in the chat. Let me make sure audio and everything sounds good and the chat's pulled up and there's no comments just yet. So y'all make sure to send something in case anything's going wrong, or if any of y'all have questions, concerns, please, I'd love to talk to you guys in the comments. So make sure audio is good. Y'all let me know if anything is going right or wrong. I'd appreciate to hear that as we continue tracking out the severe thunderstorm warning, because I don't want to talk to a brick wall. I want to make sure you guys can actually hear me and the audio is coming in well. So we're going to take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's take a look at our threats here. Again, hail and wind have been the big concerns, and I'll pull up my chat behind the scenes because I saw them start talking about it earlier. They were saying hail up to 1 inch and winds up to 60 miles per hour. As far as hail, I don't think it's reaching 1 inch. They were saying it was more quarter-sized hail if we were to end up seeing that, and that would match up with what we're seeing here with our peak impacts. You can see some of those light shades of pink. You can see a little bit darker down here. They continued the severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, so we're going to continue to see probably maybe another warning come out here in the next few minutes, if I had to guess. We're going to take a look. Let's see, did that just kind of change? Put this on a lapse. Kind of back it up. Okay, so they're already, oh, perfect. Love it. We're already starting to shave people out of it. That's always a great sign to see here with this warning. I would say our best chance to see maybe some hail is just pretty much along the Mississippi River, northwest of you guys out there in Austin, Mississippi. So kind of seeing some of those darker returns, and I'll have to, again, take off the lightning just so you guys can kind of see that. That's where there's the potential for maybe some of that quarter to dime-sized hail occurring out there, kind of crossing the Mississippi River and into our coverage area. And another area that I want to keep eyes on that we have not seen get warned yet, but we kind of have some more showers developing for you guys out here in Greenville. As of right now, it is not warned, but definitely want to keep our eyes on it, as that could be a little bit hefty and disruptive with some of those lightning strikes continuing to kind of rain on down and just constant flashes of lightning. There we go. I mean, we just got on that camera and it is still going. So 75 degrees feels like 75. That dew point right around 72. You can see some of those showers and storms just south of this camera. We're actually looking more west across the river. Let's see if I can pull this up here behind the scenes. We might rotate it just because I'm curious what it looks like more south of the camera, even though we're already getting constant flashes here. Oh yeah, then the latest update still has a pretty intense kind of looking kind of return band. Let's move this ever so slightly. Honestly, while we're here, we need to see if our owl's still there and rolling for it, because that was still hilarious. Yeah, I mean, we're just talking about constant flashes of lightning everywhere we look here with our Greenville camera. So that's another storm continuing to push in towards you guys out there in the Delta. And I just want to keep spinning it just to see what it looks like further south. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, we're still dealing with quite a few strikes as these storms continue to be very disruptive heading into the evening, probably waking a few of us up a little bit too early. Looks like somebody might be behind the scenes moving the rolling fork camera. So perfect. Our storm chasers, they're up. Taking a look at these storms. I wonder if our owl was there. Um, it might actually circle back. No, they're going to the storms. That's smart. We gotta look to find some more lightning out there in the distance. But our storm chaser's up, moving the camera as we speak here behind the scenes. So we're going to continue to take a look at these thunderstorms that are, again, just being disruptive, kind of waking us up with how energetic they continue to be. We're only dealing with one severe thunderstorm warning, and that's further up north out here in the northern portions of the Delta. Going to continue to bother us until 1:15 is when it's set to expire. And it kind of just froze on me here. So let's see if we can get that to reconnect here. Huh. Interesting. Oh, my mouse isn't even popping up there. Oh, okay. Yep, it says it's reconnecting. So we're going to give it a second. Okay, perfect. We have James in the chat. Made sure he wasn't there before I moved it. Well, thank you, James. I was curious if that owl was still there. It was hilarious. I hope you saw that earlier on. But yeah, he is behind the scenes changing the camera. That way we could see a better shot of some of those storms ongoing out there in the Delta. I'm trying to see if my system can start to catch up here. Come on. I know it's been a long day, but we still got another thunderstorm to continue tracking out for everybody here. There we go. Okay, perfect. Let's take a look at the past few scans to see if whether or not this warning is going to continue or not. I mean, this is probably the strongest part of the storm, what's prompting that severe thunderstorm warning to be issued. It's staying very strong over you guys out there in Austin. But the last few scans have not been too terribly impressive, especially where that hail core could have been. So I'm not too impressed with this thunderstorm. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep it going for a little bit, but especially with the National Weather Service out there in Memphis, they'll take it off if it kind of stops bringing some of that severe potential or criteria here towards North Mississippi. So I know they're going to keep their close eyes on it behind the scenes, and they'll either pull that warning early or we might see it continue. Let's take a look out of our Senatobia camera up here, and hopefully we have a good shot out there. Yes, we do. 77 degrees, feels like 79. Energetic storms. That is what I keep emphasizing all night long. Just disruptive, continuing to bother us as we head into the overnight time period. I know most of us are trying to get ready for our Friday morning, highly anticipated as it is the end of the work week. But a few of us probably waking up in the middle of the night a little bit earlier than we wanted to because of how loud this thunder probably continues to sound across the northernmost portion of our viewing area. And we could actually go out here towards West Helena. We might be able to get a shot or flashes of lightning. Yeah, we could see some on the river, kind of here right behind my head, kind of see it reflected off there in the distance and on the Mississippi River. So again, lightning strikes, that's going to be probably the biggest concern, honestly. I think hail is going to really continue to struggle at this moment in time. Wind gusts are possible with how heavy this rainfall is, and it kind of just forces all of it out. We can take a look at our rainfall rate here. Again, we're still dealing with heavy to extreme on our scale. We can kind of pixel a few of these. So over 7 inches an hour just north of Pink and west of Strayhorn. Out ahead of it, we're still talking about 4.3, but let's see if we can get maybe a better, probably out here. Yeah, almost 8 inches an hour. So we're dealing with much needed rainfall, but again, we don't want the severe weather that comes with it. We can take a look at how much rain it has dropped so far. And again, it's not going to be that high just yet because it hasn't been sitting over you guys for that long. But it'll still dump impressive amounts. I mean, already an inch over the past, let's say, maybe 15 minutes. So still talking about a lot of rainfall making its way down at one time very quickly. That has kind of imposed the potential and risk for some flash flooding concerns. Thankfully, I don't think we're going to have to deal with that at this moment in time with those storms, and we haven't had to deal with them in a while, as those storms clearly have made their way out of our viewing area. But we're still taking a look at this severe thunderstorm warning as it continues moving on through. We could take a look at our velocity. And again, we're not talking about anything tornadic whatsoever. So if you guys are tuning in wondering, is there a potential for a tornado or any rotation? That is not the case. You can go back to sleep if that's what makes you stress-free and less anxious. We're not going to deal with that. If you're good, just kind of hearing quite a few rumbles of thunder, maybe some of that wind kind of howl outside the window, you're going to be good to go. We're not having to worry about tornadoes throughout the overnight period. We can see that here with our velocity, both pretty much storm relative and base, kind of all these outgoing winds, or technically, I'm actually kind of surprised. Our radars further up north, it says these are blowing in, so probably kind of good inflow to this storm, but still kind of windy at times. And we can take a look at our echo tops. I'd be curious to see. Yeah, I mean, these are pretty high. That's around 50,000 feet, I believe, if we kind of take a look and pixel that. So yeah, the red's around 50,000. We have that out ahead of it, so I'd be curious to see kind of how that storm continues to develop. But yeah, we're still dealing with the potential for a few stronger storms tonight here in North Mississippi, and just kind of being a nuisance to us as we continue trying to get ready for our Friday morning up ahead. Yeah, that's the 50,000 storm that we were just looking at a second ago. Let's come back again, and I really want to zoom in on this storm and just see how it continues to change with the past few scans. I mean, we're still getting bright returns kind of after we pass White Oak. Take a look at how that pink and purple really starts to show on up and stay pretty consistent. And wow, those all blue? That can't be right. I think something's, yeah, wow. Or no, I think I zoomed in and only the positive ones are showing. But then I zoom out, some yellow ones pop up, unless those are past. But we might be dealing with quite a few positive strikes with this thunderstorm. So definitely a strong and healthy one, definitely causing quite a few big booms out there and waking up quite a few of you guys up with just how energetic this storm continues to be and how most of them have been throughout our Thursday and unfortunately now our Friday morning hours. So this is why we have those rain chances for your Friday, kind of because of it happening post midnight. We're dealing with some of these showers and storms. The good news is we don't have to really deal with it quite as widespread tomorrow afternoon and into your evening hours. Now they're still on the table, but nowhere near as intense or strong as what they were earlier on this afternoon and into the evening hours. But we're still going to have to deal with a few here as they continue to kind of move across into North Mississippi. Now let's take another look back down towards these storms down here, kind of in the central portions of the Delta. We'll change it towards our Jackson radar site. And these aren't impressive. Let's zoom in on those. All right, let's see, and kind of back this up just slightly. Oh yeah, it was a lot stronger. And you can see that outflow boundary, kind of that thin line almost just ahead of it. That continues to kind of help maintain its strength, but it'll start to kind of separate bit by bit. And I mean, it's not overall impressive, but you can definitely tell a lot further out ahead, further up north, and we're seeing that portion of the storm continue to die. This one's still maintaining its strength, but it's a lot closer to that outflow boundary. I can kind of draw this out for you guys here. We'll do blue. So this right here, that's the outflow boundary. And it's a lot further away here, and we're starting to see this portion of the storm continue to die. But this portion of the storm is still pretty strong, and that's because it's still really close to that outflow boundary. So this looks really weird, to be honest. But with how that outflow boundary continues to kind of help maintain its strength, we want to make sure to continue monitoring that storm, but thankfully it is below severe limits. Now let me check this behind the scenes, and then I'll check your guys' questions in the comments. Somebody asking, how's Coffeyville looking for the rest of the night? Well, we can zoom out here and continue to cover that for you guys. I know y'all are kind of in this area where we were talking about the potential for some kind of showers and storms to occur throughout the overnight period, but not expecting anything to, I'd say, a widespread. What happened earlier this afternoon and evening will not occur overnight. Now, Coffeyville, yeah, I mean, y'all are kind of in the direction of where these storms will try to continue to pop on up. But as far as intensity, I think those will continue to not stay. Wow. I'm sorry, I'm trying to multitask. I shouldn't do that. Let me wait to draw and speak first because I clearly have not mastered that skill yet. For Coffeyville, these storms are going to continue to kind of move in that southeasterly direction. That's what we've seen a lot today. Very, very slow. So if we were talking about any development, I mean, you still have another hour or two before these showers and maybe rumbles really start to affect you guys. But the overall kind of past few scans haven't been too overall impressive with that severe thunderstorm warning out in Tunica and pushing closer towards Senatobia, Sardis, and Batesville. So as far as how are y'all looking for the rest of the night, there's a chance y'all could hear a few rumbles of thunder, get maybe a heavy downpour, some much needed rain. But I think the further into the overnight period we get, not really going to deal with anything too quite widespread or intense. So as long as you're fine with some rumbles of thunder, maybe some hefty wind gusts, y'all are going to be good to go. I think hail is really going to struggle. Tornadoes are not in the forecast. That's just not the setup that we're in. So as long as you're kind of fine with that, heading into the rest of your overnight period, you're going to be good to go. There's no reason to kind of worry or stay up and continue monitoring these showers and storms. You might as well get as much rest as you can because these storms are going to slowly move through our region. Now, it looks pretty impressive here with this, but that's because our radar is all the way out in Jackson with how we're looking at it. If we move up here towards Memphis and take a look at that storm, we're not seeing quite as bright pink purple returns. So that continues to be a good sign, but definitely wanting to keep our eyes on this as it's not really slowing down as far as with what all it's kind of bringing out with the storm. We're still talking about several lightning strikes with this and those kind of what we call DBZ or those colors, they're staying pretty consistent. So not slowing down just quite yet, but I will say the overall hail threat, I think was most impressive. Yeah, and I bet that's what caused it. You can see right here. You see those darker returns? We'll zoom in so you guys can get a clear visual. This is kind of what we see when there's potential for some hailstones lofted up there, and that's what the radar's picking up on, those kind of brighter colors and higher values. We're going to talk about 60 plus, so 64, and then we can go, 65.5. So those are definitely the radar beam picking up on something highly reflective up there. And that is what's kind of causing those colors to really return super bright and dark. And we're talking about those darker reds, pinks, and purple starting to show on up. So I believe this is probably what prompted that severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of that hail. And as we continue looking at it, I mean, we can see it continue to grow a little bit more next to Fox Island. You can still see it pretty clearly there, but as we continue throughout the past few scans, it's really lost some of that. Now, that's for the kind of back end portion of the storm. If we look out ahead of it, I mean, we're still seeing some of those brighter returns, and that's not slowing down. So that's why I expect this warning to continue. Probably not going to remove it early, or at least not this early. We'd like to wait for some of those kind of returns to start to fall down, but I mean, we're still talking about that here. So this storm really feeding off on whatever energy is left here in North Mississippi. Again, this severe thunderstorm warning continues for Tunica and Tate, parts of Panola and the northernmost portions of Quitman County. This is will expire around 1:15 if we don't see an extension of this. Hopefully that's not the case, but as of right now, it's still kind of maintaining some of that strength as it pushes closer and closer towards the edge of that warning. Somebody else asking in the chat, how is Tupelo area doing for the night? Well, let's just start off with our camera. Or actually, no, let me zoom back out here. That way you can kind of see everything occurring here in North Mississippi. You guys out here in Tupelo, Lee County, y'all are staying dry. We can take a look at that here. with our camera, that's going to continue to be the story for the most part tonight. Of course, we're going to still deal with maybe some showers, some rumbles of thunder, but severe weather really going to struggle into the overnight time period. Now, it's not out of the question as we're seeing that actively in the northernmost portions of the Delta right now, but the widespread activity that we were kind of tracking out earlier today, where there's just 5 or more showers and warnings ongoing, that's not going to be the case. So I hope that can kind of help you guys out. Looks like Diane saying thank you. So I hope that helped answer your question and made you feel a little bit more at peace heading into your overnight time period. Let's continue, and let me make sure this is all updating, because I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Somebody else in the chat asking about Ecru, same story as kind of same answer for what we just said for Tupelo. Kind of still could, of course, deal with some showers and some rumbles of thunder into the overnight period. In fact, let's just take a look. I think I can pull up Futurecast from here. I don't know which one it'll bring up, but it's doing very well with placement. And as we head into the, oh wait, no, that's not Futurecast. That's not what I want. Let's pull it up through here. And let me go and kind of break this to see which one it's pulling, because I want to make sure it's the most updated one. Okay, so this is 3Z. If we back it up towards 1 o'clock. So yeah, it's around 1 o'clock. Already not really doing well on picking up on that shower and thunderstorm out there in the northernmost portions of the Delta. But like we keep mentioning, as we continue into the overnight period, we're going to still kind of deal with some of these showers and rumbles of thunder, but the overall intensity, the severe weather, really going to struggle. Now, for you guys out there in Ecru, getting closer towards Tupelo, y'all could still see some rainfall overnight tonight. I know for the Mainers household and their sake, hopefully they'll get some rainfall. I know a lot of us really want it. But as far as stormy conditions, that's really just going to not be quite as widespread as what we've seen earlier today. I know I kind of sound like a broken record, but I know you guys are asking about it. You came back in the comments saying we got it so bad in Ecru, we don't need any more tonight. No, I completely agree. I know that was one of the problems for you guys out there in Ecru and Pontotoc. Y'all almost got just 2 rounds of it as it stayed consistently on top of you guys throughout the start of this kind of event here in North Mississippi. So I will say what y'all experienced earlier on today will not happen tonight, as long as you're good to maybe hear a few rumbles of thunder and just kind of, what I would say, enjoy kind of that rain hitting the roof as you're falling asleep, or at least trying to drift back asleep between some rumbles of thunder. You're going to be good to go. We're not expecting anything tornadic. Hail, that's really going to struggle. The hail y'all received earlier today will be nowhere near, if anything, that y'all receive overnight tonight. So it's still just going to be kind of some of these storms that tried their best. And I don't even think storms can really perform as well in Ecru just because of all the energy fuel that was eaten up earlier on today. It's not quite in store throughout the overnight period. So you're going to be good to go. Is level 2 out of 5 risk for tonight or during the day? That was actually throughout our day today. With all the severe weather that we were covering earlier on this afternoon and evening. We can pull that up here for you guys. That way y'all can see here. That was for everything that happened this afternoon into the evening. And we can take a look at the latest updated look, which I think, let me look at my notifications. They should have just sent one out. Yes. Okay, 6 minutes ago. So yeah, the 1 o'clock update. So let's take a look at that here together. And see what it has for us, if it will pop on up. Bear with me for a second here. So that's for Saturday. Let's try again the day 1. I'm just going to do it on my phone so I can make sure I know what I'm looking at and make sure that is accurate. Okay, perfect. No, that's tomorrow, excuse me. So sorry, guys. I just want to make sure I'm giving y'all the right update. Okay, so with the 12:58 update for day one, we're actually, yeah, we're not in a risk here. Why is this freezing up on me? Give it a second. It just needs to kind of catch back up. But to answer your question, before it does catch up, we are not under that 2 out of 5 risk anymore. That has since been lifted as we kind of endured that earlier this afternoon into the evening as we were tracking out all those severe thunderstorm warnings. We're now kind of just in a general thunderstorm category throughout the overnight period, and even half of North Mississippi, our coverage area, not even within that. So confidence continues to decrease for, I guess, activity into the overnight time period. Let's see if this caught back up. They're actually just shaved off that warning ever so slightly. Let's zoom out. There you go. Okay, so we can see where that level 1 risk is, and that's not here in North Mississippi. That's for the pretty much southern portions of our region, and that's because of the storms that we were tracking out continue to dig further and further south, so they're going to have to continue dealing with that into the overnight hours and our early morning time period before it kind of refreshes again. But if we were to look ahead for technically Saturday, which is today, but it's past midnight, it's a whole hullabaloo of stuff. We're still not even dealing with that severe weather risk for today. I'll have to start saying that now, even though I'm still kind of on the Friday clock. It's been a long day. Madison back in the comments saying, okay, I just seen it on the map room on the app, so I was going to ask before I fell asleep. Yes, of course. I want to make sure all of you guys are good to go before heading back to sleep. We are not dealing with that level 2 out of 5 anymore. It's probably going to take a second for the app to update because that update came out 6 minutes ago, so it's very fresh. We're giving you guys the latest information right now. We are not under a severe weather risk heading into the overnight period or heading into your Friday or your Saturday coming on up. So that continues to be positive. We're going to continue monitoring the severe thunderstorm warning that is still ongoing for the northern portions of the Delta. But thankfully, confidence or the potential for number of reports to be reported throughout the overnight period remains very, very low. So let's take a look at this severe thunderstorm warning further out here in the northern portions of the Delta. If I can just get this to work, please. And zoom in. There we go. Okay, so we're starting to see some of that continue to get shaved off. That warning started all the way back towards the Mississippi River for you guys out there towards Tunica, Austin, Hollywood. But as this storm continues to dig further and further southeast, you guys behind it are starting to get clipped out of that warning. To show you guys what I mean by that, we can back this up here. This is where kind of that warning first kind of started. And as we continue on throughout the rest of this period, we're starting to see you guys start to get clipped out of that as it starts to move further and further southeast. So just wanted, okay. And Madison said, okay, thanks for keeping us safe and aware. Of course, Madison, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to get some more rest. I promise you are going to be good to go heading into the overnight period. We're not expecting anything tornadic. I know how important our sleep is getting ready for a Friday morning and the weekend ahead. So as long as you're comfortable kind of hearing some rumbles of thunder and some heavy rain kind of hitting the roof and maybe the wind howling through the window, you're going to be good to go. That's pretty much as intense as it's going to get heading into the overnight period. Hail, I think, will continue to struggle. But here we go. Next severe thunderstorm warning extended a little bit further southeast as this storm continues to march its way through, which I will say, doing a lot better with the movement compared to the storms we dealt with earlier. Some of these just stayed still, and that's what made Ecru and Pontotoc just really have to deal with a lot of damage and reports with just the constant harsh kind of product that storm kept spitting out. So we're already continuing to see more southeast development and movement. This new warning continues all the way until 2 a.m. for Panola, portions of Tate, and it might just be Panola and Tate. And portions of Quitman. Well, actually, I think that is portions of Quitman. So that's going to continue all the way until 2 a.m. So we're going to continue kind of tracking out these severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing. And just with how slow my system is, I don't want to continue to look further on south down there in Hollandale. So I'll look behind the scenes. That is not warned out there towards Greenville and Hollandale. So we continue to look very good. The only severe thunderstorm warnings we have are the ones that we're currently looking at here. So let's continue to take a look at our peak threats, and I want to take a look at kind of how the hail has looked with the past few scans. So, and I'm going to turn off lightning. Okay, so yeah, there's those darker purples we were talking about with probably the strongest portion of that hail core before it started to weaken as it approached Clayton. Then we saw kind of some more intensification kind of along the front portion of that storm, and it continues to kind of keep that head of steam, prompting that second warning to be issued. We're dealing with some of those heavier showers, some potential for maybe some pea or dime sized hail further ahead of it out here between Horatio, Sardis, and Como. So for people asking about Sardis, I know they were earlier on this evening. I don't know if you guys are tuning in now. Due to that severe thunderstorm warning being issued, you guys dealing with quite a few rumbles of thunder, very energetic, but very disruptive. And just heavy amounts of rainfall. I think hail is really going to continue to struggle. It is still a threat, but not quite as relevant as what it was earlier on this afternoon and evening, or what it was yesterday for a Thursday. Sorry, I'm still in the Thursday mindset. That was still several hours ago, but to me, it feels like it just keeps going. Let's take a look at our hail swath. These aren't really impressive. Nowhere near like what we saw earlier today. I think that's just going to continue to be the story. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I want to keep emphasizing that for everybody tuning in, not expecting the same level of intensity as what we saw earlier on this afternoon and evening. We're going to still deal with some of these storms, trying to be on the stronger side, but I think that's going to be just due to the damaging wind gusts, kind of heavy kind of downpours, maybe kicking out some of those straight line winds. But other than that, we're going to be good to go. Again, we're not talking about anything tornadic. That is not a threat tonight. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated. But taking a look at reflectivity, we're still talking about some of those brighter returns. And let me make sure, because I think this is coming out of Memphis. Yeah, this is our Memphis. And we'll take a look at wind. And yeah, I mean, hefty wind gusts. Let's see if we can kind of... That's maybe 25, but again, this is a little bit more elevated. This isn't surface level winds, and that's not minus. That's just saying, it's just talking about change of direction and stuff. So still talking about some heavy winds continuing to move on through the region. Probably hearing some of that wind howl starting to build on up with some of that strength. You can kind of see some of those brighter returns. But again, we're not talking about anything rotating whatsoever. That is not a threat this evening. And let me go behind the scenes here. But first, let me kind of pull up a camera for us to look at. Isn't it Toby? We'll try this one first. Yeah, Batesville. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we're talking about. Disruptive storms continuing to bother us into the evening hours. Let me send another notification out to alert everybody still. Actually, I'm not going to be able to do it here on the screen. Let me walk off screen for just a second as we continue to see this disruptive storm continue for you guys out there towards Batesville. Y'all are under that severe thunderstorm warning. Let me send out another notification. That way everybody else can tune on in for those affected by it. I'll draw out kind of an outline area. All right, here we go. Oops, I need to make that a little bit better. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's send that out here, and I'll walk back over, but wanting to make sure to bring everybody here. Looks like our James Bishop in the comments saying, surprise, Crenshaw cam is still up. Yep, I know, with how disruptive and just energetic these storms have been. It's great to see these cameras still online and not being struck by lightning, at least yet. Definitely don't want to jinx it. but wanted to send that notification out so everybody else still affected by the severe thunderstorm warning can get an alert. Somebody in the comments, Steven out there on Facebook, asking which way is it going? Well, I can actually do a track on that, especially with honestly how the development has been. It's moving. Let's see what the warning. Yeah, southeast at 25. Yeah, okay. These did look like they were moving a little bit faster. So let's put a track on that here. And we'll take a look at the boundaries first before, so I can give you an accurate kind of description on where it's heading. Okay. Yeah, let's just do it that way. And then, yeah, we can do the squall track. Kind of just go out ahead of it. Let's see. And then we'll go, I'll just go a little bit over 25. That way we can still give you guys a heads up. So yeah, Steven, I know you were asking which way is it going. It's continuing to move in that southeastern direction. So for you guys out there towards Batesville and Cortland, you guys in the path of this storm as it continues to kind of rumble through North Mississippi. Again, we're really not talking about anything overall intense, kind of like what we dealt with earlier. But for Delta and Falcon on top of you guys right about now, Bluff Springs 124, Central Academy 130, Curtis Station 133, same for Mount Olivet. Batesville, round 143, Splinter 146, Chapeltown 151, Campground 157, same for Springdale. Eureka Springs and Cortland around 159, Shufford around 2, and Palestine around 202. So that's kind of when we can expect these showers to continue moving through. You were saying that you live in Chickasaw County. Honestly, you're going to be good to go throughout pretty much the rest of the overnight period ahead. What we're concerned about or continuing to monitor is this pretty much northwestern portion of North Mississippi. We've already received several storms and very disruptive energetic storms earlier on today, kind of throughout the central portions of our viewing area. And I know portions of Chickasaw County, y'all have already gotten y'all's fair share. So there's just not that much fuel and energy just kind of left out there for these storms to feed off of. Now, for the northwestern portion of our region, y'all didn't get many storms today. So that's what is currently ongoing right now. There's still a little bit of fuel and energy out there. And that's what we're going to continue to keep our eyes on. And I want to make sure to kind of keep watching this behind the scenes, just with how it's continuing to kind of shape up. And I'll look behind here. Sorry, my jaw's kind of hurting a little bit. I've been using my mouth a lot today. All right, so we're going to continue taking a look, at this thunderstorm currently ongoing in the northern portions of the Delta. As you'll notice, I'm covering it up behind the scenes, or not behind the scenes, behind me. Those showers and storms, although we're looking out of our Memphis, well, let's just switch it just because we got nothing but time here. I want to make sure to give you guys the best visual always. We're really not talking about those showers and storms quite as prevalent as what they were earlier for Greenville and Hollandale. We'll see if it'll catch up. Should start to show the Jackson radar. There we go. We're really not talking about that same level of intensity that the storm was trying to build up to for you guys in the southern portions of the Delta here in our coverage area. The strongest storm that we are dealing with is that severe thunderstorm warning just south of Hernando, kind of make its way closer towards Lafayette County, towards the Water Valley community. That's what we're going to continue to track out here in the studio. So let's go back to Memphis. We'll take a look at precip here, if it'll catch on up. Oh yeah, speaking of Oxford, Ray out in Facebook commenting and asking about that. Oxford, y'all are kind of right on the outskirts. Y'all are probably starting to hear these rumbles of thunder, and this is just not loading for me. There we go. Okay, Oxford, you guys are starting to see some of that development out ahead of this severe thunderstorm warning. Hopefully it just kind of remains still those heavier downpours, but this is typically kind of how we always see these storms start to develop, at least with the setup that we're in today. They just kind of start to pop on up, build on up in strength, and that's where we start to see some of that severe weather occur. But Oxford, y'all are still staying good at this moment. This storm should continue to kind of dig further and further southeast. Now notice that one of the things that we've seen a lot today is kind of the back building, and it just continues to expand on the boundary. So I will say if this continues to push in that southeasterly direction, there is a chance that some of that rainfall, kind of heavier bands, could push closer towards you guys out there in Oxford. But with the current pace it's going to go kind of just a little bit southwest of Oxford at this moment in time. But we'll continue to see how that changes and develops here, especially as some of those showers are starting out just a little bit ahead of it. And we can take a look at how this has changed within the past few minutes. I mean, really starting to kind of almost slow down, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be moving quite as fast as that 25, 27 that we just put out with our squall line track. But I always like doing it a little bit ahead of time because we'd rather give you a good heads up instead of y'all getting a time that's too late. So everybody else seems to be doing good in the chat. Just wanted to make sure to answer any questions you guys have, because I know this is a time of the night that we don't really want to talk about weather. We want to start sleeping. And I know you guys are ready to start heading to bed. So we're going to still continue to look at this. We'll take a look at our hail track. Not really seeing too much of that pop on up. We'll take a look at our threats. We are starting to see some of those darker shades of purple kind of creep in towards, oh, well, there we go with the latest scan. Not seeing it quite as relevant up here further north towards Sardis and Como. Still seeing kind of some of those stronger returns on the back end of the storm. So we're going to continue to keep our eyes on that. I know James was talking about the Crenshaw camera. I want to come back up here. Yeah, let's just see. Yeah, I mean, it's still going strong. So 77 degrees out there in Crenshaw, feels like 79. So really talking about just constant flashes, heavy downpours. You can kind of see that haziness out there in the distance. Can't really see that far with that blinding rainfall. But this storm continuing to push further and further southeast. Very energetic, very disruptive, very honestly probably annoying for this time of year, or time of the night. I guess no matter what time of the year it is, I don't think we want to be woken up at 1:30 in the morning almost. And there was a nice bolt with some of this weather. We'd like to kind of sleep through the night peacefully. So yeah, we're still taking a look at that. Let's take a look at our lightning and see how that has changed. We're at 646, and honestly, it was a lot better when I'm kind of leaning over like this so you guys can see. Yeah, those just continue to climb. So we're going to still continue dealing with these thunderstorms as they continue to push into the northern portions of the Delta, beginning to start to cross I-55 and affect you guys out there towards Como, Sardis, just north of Batesville and Highway 278. But let's come back to reflectivity here. Oops, that's not the right radar site. There we go. That should be the one, I believe, coming out of Memphis. Yeah, there we go. Want to make sure to get the best visual for you guys. So again, we're dealing with this severe thunderstorm warning that is set to expire at around 2 o'clock unless they have extended that. That's for Tate, Panola, and portions. I think we still have, there's a lot happening here on my screen. There it is, Quitman County. So that's around, that will expire around 2 o'clock. And we can even still see outside of the warning where some of that heavier rainfall is still occurring and maybe even the potential for some hail. Let's take a look at that here with our peak threats graphic. I pressed the wrong button. So sorry. Let me zoom back in here real quick. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so this is what we kind of want to take a look at because those are some bright returns there. We want to take a look at our peak threats. And yeah, we're starting to see some of that darker purple start to pop on up. So even for you guys kind of outside of that warning area, you guys could be dealing with some of that P to dime, maybe quarter-sized hail out there towards Birdie, Falcon, just northwest of Darling. So dealing with some of that here tonight at around 125, and that's outside of that severe thunderstorm warning. So we're still wanting to keep our eyes on the entire storm as it continues to push further and further southeast, affecting you guys closer towards Sardis, Como, Ballantyne, Horatio, and just northwest of Batesville. Let's go take a look at our Batesville camera, because I know no matter where we look, we're just going to continue to see that sky get lit up. Does not take long for us to see that, and we can actually see the clouds out there in the distance. I mean, take a look at that. That's that strong thunderstorm that continues to push on through that vertical development, very tall clouds. That is what we're going to continue to see here out there just northwest of Batesville. So we can see that thunderstorm continuing to push in, kind of what we would call those scary looking clouds, or almost a shelf cloud starting to push into our region. And that's just forcing that warmer, humid air further up, and it causes that vertical development to continue. And that's why we see these tall clouds and cloud tops. So we can take a look at that here, especially as this storm continues to maintain its strength. I'd be curious to see where our echo tops are. Yeah, we're definitely reaching 50,000 feet now, and up to 55 as well. I mean, we can take a look at that here. So all of this red should be 50. And then right here, just instead of Sardis, we're talking about 55,000. So very, very tall. Thunderstorm continues just kind of maintaining its strength as it continues to push further and further southeast, bringing some of those damaging wind gusts, kind of the straight line winds. Again, nothing nothing tornadic by any means. We're not talking about any of that rotating, but straight line winds, that can be a threat heading into the next few hours, or at least with this thunderstorm before it starts to die on out, kind of feeding off of that energy. And I'd be curious to see, once it starts to make its way closer and closer towards where we had some of those storms earlier, if it'll start to die on up a little bit quicker. So we're going to keep our eyes on that as it continues marching its way through the northern portions of the Delta. But seems to be that everybody's still tuning in. No questions or comments just quite yet, at least no new ones. So you guys still doing good, and hope y'all are continuing to stay updated and stress-free. We definitely don't want y'all to kind of worry about what's ongoing. Keep you guys updated on it the entire time. So let's go take a look. Is that one pull up peak threats? Oh, it does. Perfect. I'm figuring out shortcuts. So yeah, we're still dealing with a lot of green and purple to make you guys feel a lot better. Again, we're not seeing any red here on your map. You're not colorblind. It is not occurring. That means we're not dealing with anything tornadic or any of this wind starting to rotate in the storm. That is not happening. It is damaging wind gusts with those straight line winds. The potential for some hail with up to maybe quarter-sized hail. I don't really think we're meeting that 1 inch in diameter criteria right now. And then the potential for impacts of flash flooding just with how heavy this rain continues to be. I'd be curious to see kind of the north side of this storm. Let's switch this over to reflectivity here with our Memphis one. I want to make sure to get a good look at that. I'd be curious to see kind of right here, kind of that core continuing to just look very prominent at this moment in time, just west of Sledge. Let's see kind of how this storm has been changing here in the past few scans. Yeah, and I mean, even up here towards Coldwater, I mean, you guys probably dealing with a strong storm as well, even though y'all are outside of that severe thunderstorm warning. So make sure to kind of even pretend y'all are almost in that warning, which is kind of how strong these continue to be. Wanting to stay weather aware. That's for you guys out there in Tate County. So keep our eyes on, of course, the entire storm. Because I would say that not only what is in this warning area is strong to severe, you could argue what is just outside of it here next to Sledge and up here towards Coldwater, that could be also pretty intense as well. So that's why we want to keep our eyes on this. Somebody in the comments, Jesse, saying happy Friday. How's your day today? It's been very busy so far. Somebody else in the comments asking, I'm in Batesville. How is that storm looking for me? It is currently kind of making its way closer and closer towards Highway 278. kind of moving in that south easterly direction. So these rumbles, these flashes of lightning, I will say, are going to continue to kind of push closer and closer. So you guys are going to be dealing with some of that heavy rainfall, some damaging straight line winds possible, which is how strong this severe thunderstorm warning continues to be, and the potential for some hail. Now, I think that is probably on the lower end of the spectrum with our threats tonight. I think heavy rainfall and wind continue to be a little bit higher than that. I think hail will just continue to struggle. But for you out there in Batesville, I think that you will start to kind of get impacted with this storm here within the coming minutes. So let's actually kind of put a storm track on this, because I think we're still kind of moving. I'm going to go a 27 again. I think that's probably a little bit too fast, but let's put this on a lapse, kind of a loop, so we can kind of get a good direction of it and the boundaries it starts to kick on off. Okay, there we go. So let's kind of trace this out, just clear that out. Okay, let's try that again. Kind of right along that leading edge here as it continues to dig further southeast and affecting you guys out there towards the Batesville community. So let's go around 27. And remember what's north, and they actually just kind of extended that, I think, just a second ago. Did that just get extended? No. Okay, I guess I just misread that. But even for you guys north of this warning, I want you guys to kind of still take it serious. Well, there we go. We're still dealing with that severe thunderstorm warning, or a new one being issued for portions of Tate County into Marshall and Lafayette. So I know somebody in the comments was asking earlier, about Oxford. You guys could start to see some of this severe thunderstorm warning kind of creep in closer and closer towards your respective city. So we're still kind of tracking out these as they continue to move closer and closer towards you guys. But look at that storm just drew out here. Pop that back up. So we're talking about Curtis Station at around 139, Splinter 139, full 141. So that's 8 to 9 minutes. 8 minutes. Bobo 147, Dallas Jones Crossing 148, Campground around 153, Chapeltown around 157, same for Palestine, Mims around 158, Shufford around 159, Cortland 201, same for Water Valley and Toccoa, Lakeside 217, and Wallace Creek around 219 as well. So wanting to make sure to keep you guys updated. Zach saying, I'm driving in this. It's crazy. Well, hopefully you don't have to drive in it for too much longer. Definitely don't want to be out on the roads with how heavy this rainfall is. This is the weather that you basically just need to turn your flashers on and almost pull over for it to pass. But thankfully, I guess, hopefully not too many people are on the road. So make sure to stay safe, Zach, as you're driving through this. But we're continuing to keep our eyes on these warnings that are ongoing here in the northern half of North Mississippi. These warnings are going to continue just with how it's really not losing any strength. I will say it's not really gaining much either, so that continues to be a positive. But we're wanting to keep our eyes on that. Let me switch that to the Memphis radar here behind the scenes. But I would say probably our biggest threat with this warning is probably just how heavy, how heavy this rainfall is, but how gusty these straight line winds are going to be as well. So we're still dealing with this severe thunderstorm warning, 2 of them now for portions of Marshall, Lafayette, Tate, and Tunica. Actually, no, I think Tunica has now been out. So Tunica no longer, yes, they're clipped out. So it's for Tate, portions of Marshall into Lafayette and Panola County. Those continue to be the counties that we're looking at for this severe thunderstorm warning to continue. They are currently set to expire the southernmost one at 2 o'clock, so that's in 25 minutes, and the more northeastern one, that's at 2:15. So still have a ways to go until we can see these showers and storms begin to try to hopefully weaken and not continue with these warnings, but would not be surprised to continue to see these get extended and more warnings get issued downstream as these storms really not losing it's steamed just quite yet. Our strikes are now up to 848. So these continue to climb and do not show signs of slowing down. Let's take a look at some of our cameras here. Let's take a look out there in Oxford, since I know there's a fly. Somebody was asking about Oxford. Oh, unfortunately, our camera is down out there in Lafayette County. Let's go down here to, I believe this is Batesville, where that thunderstorm is pretty much almost on top of you guys. I know somebody was asking about that earlier in the comments, just constant flashes of lightning. You guys under that severe thunderstorm warning. The storm stays just northeast or west of you guys, but continuing to dig further southeast. So that's what we're continuing to monitor and track on out. But disruptive storms continue, kind of waking us up a little bit earlier than what we would want to before our Friday morning. So continuing to keep our eyes on these storms as they continue to move across the northern portions of the Delta and further into the Batesville community here within the coming minutes. We can take a look almost behind the storm out here in Senatobia and Crenshaw. You guys still dealing with those flashes of lightning, but that heavy rainfall, not quite as relevant as what you saw a few minutes ago. So that continues to move further and further southeast. We saw some more of that northern development out here towards Senatobia and working its way closer towards Lafayette County. But again, constant flashes of lightning, energetic, disruptive. That continues to be the story with these storms and unfortunately waking us up as we are not wanting to at the ripe hour of 1:37 in the morning. But let's reset here real quick for anybody tuning in as these warnings continue to come on out for the northern portions of the Delta. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut tracking out severe thunderstorm warnings for the northern portions of our viewing area out in the northwestern portion, I should say, of our coverage area. And we're dealing with some of these showers and storms just continuing to bubble on up here yet again. And we're still seeing some of those kind of showers out ahead of these warnings. Now, not seeing that same level of intensity. I know you guys kind of dealt with that activity earlier on today. We're still seeing that a little bit further behind, but it is interesting to see how we're already noticing some of those showers continue to pop on up and feed off of whatever's left out there in the atmosphere with the energy and fuel. So let's back this up. If it'll let me, there we go. Yeah, I mean, those continue to climb and start to build on up as we're dealing with some more showers and storms. Let's change this to echo tops to see kind of how high these storms are climbing. Let's see here. Okay, so we're still dealing, wow, we're up to 60,000 on that northern warning. Let's take a look at that here, just south of Hernando, just east of I-55. My system is really slowing down right now. I might need to refresh this here in a second. Okay, we're gonna cover this. We'll see if it can catch up. If it continues lagging, I might have to kind of reboot something behind the scenes here. It's a camera on so we can kind of keep an eye on these storms. But you can see here kind of buried within all these lightning strikes, that bright pink starting to show on up. I'll take that off the screen here so you can see it a little bit more easier. We're talking about 60,000 feet up in the air is where this thunderstorm continues to build on up with that vertical development. So really continuing to intensify or maintain its intensity and its strength throughout the past hour or so. And we're continuing to kind of track out those showers and storms as it continues to push further and further closer towards Lafayette County. So 60,000 feet. I mean, that is probably the highest that we've seen so far today, but definitely so far here within the last hour or two, as these are definitely some healthy storms continuing to feed off of this moist, unstable air mass here in North Mississippi. So let's turn on our reports. I don't think we have any new ones up here, so that's a good sign. We definitely don't want to see any more reports out there in the northern portions of the delta. And let me put this on the camera. We're going to put this on. Let's go down here to Calhoun County and see if we can see these storms out in the distance. So this is out here in Pittsboro where some showers are starting to pop on up. And we're going to spin this over. Get a good view on this, and then I'm going to fix things behind the scenes real quick if y'all will bear with me, just because this continues slowing down. And once I get this kind of situated, I can do that, and that way it'll be a lot easier to kind of show you guys what's going on and track things out for you. So let's take a look out here in Pittsboro. This might not be the best camera to do so. I'm not seeing that lightning just quite yet. Unless it's that far out, and I figured we'd start to see it by now. Unless it's that. There we go. We're getting closer to it. Yeah, so here are some of those thunderstorms out there in the distance. I'm probably going to do a closer camera, but I at least have that one facing the right direction for when those storms continue to get closer. Let's go out here towards Batesville. I know the storm's kind of getting on top of you guys now, but dealing with those constant flashes of lightning. So let me fix this behind the scenes really quick to kind of fix how it's acting. It's being a little bit slow, and I'll get these fans going. It's getting a little bit toasty in here, and that might be causing some of this to slow on down. It doesn't work if I turn the fan off. There we go. I'm going to turn that. I'm going to blow the hot air out. Kind of get everything set back up again as we're still dealing with some of these severe thunderstorm warnings. And let me see if I can get this taken care of behind the scenes. I might have to pull something up here on our monitor. Okay, let's see here. There we go. We're starting to get cooler air, and hopefully everything's starting to catch up. We'll just deal with that for now. If it continues to slow on down, well, I know what I'll have to do in the next few minutes. But we're still dealing with these severe thunderstorm warnings ongoing in the northern portions of the Delta and northwestern portion of our coverage area. Let's take a look at how these ecotops have fared within the past few scans. And I want to take off lightning. So not dealing with 60,000 quite yet. It was around 130. So in the past 10 minutes, where we saw it kind of reach that, and hasn't lost it quite yet. And we are starting to see some of that severe thunderstorm warning kind of get trimmed as you guys are starting to get kind of outside of the storm as it kind of moves further and further southeast. And there we go, 60,000 starting to disappear. So that's always a good sign. Hopefully we can kind of see that trend continue. But let me switch back to our Memphis radar. There we go. But yeah, Pontotoc just can't catch a break. You guys are already dealing with some of these heavier showers out ahead of it, closer towards Algoma. This is just kind of south of 278. Let's see if any of those are energetic. Wow, I mean we have one strike out there towards Algoma and a few out here towards Water Valley. So I'd be curious to see how these continue to behave out ahead of the severe thunderstorm warnings. But I will say, as unfortunate as it is to see some of these showers and storms kind of build on up ahead of it, I think it's technically a good thing, because it's going to start eating up all of that fuel and energy out ahead of these severe thunderstorm warnings. So by the time it makes its way out here, there shouldn't be too much left for it to continue to kind of feed off of. So that is something that we're going to want to monitor here. Looks like we have Bailey in the comments saying power out in Batesville. Would not be surprised as that severe thunderstorm warning continues to really push further and further into y'all's community. Let's take a look at our outages here. And if they're not here on links just quite yet, we could take a look at that here it just, actually, no, let's just do that here real quick. Let me switch it over to the monitor. There we go. And then let me walk over here as we'll kind of pull up those power outages that are ongoing for you guys out there. Let's see here. Tallahatchie, PA. And you are probably ahead of the game. I think most of these, it must have been a fresh outage that probably just developed for you. So these are going to start to slowly come in. We can pull that up here as we're talking about some of those outages out there in the northern portions of the Delta, closer and closer towards you guys out there in Batesville, Senatobia, and outside of Tunica, Tate County. Very isolated. That is one of the things Matt was talking about a lot, to where we're not going to really deal with many situations to where it's those big widespread areas of 400 plus. We have had to deal with that a few times today, but I mean, just take a look at all the ones spread out across this region for Crenshaw, Sardis, Senatobia. I'm getting closer and closer within kind of Tate and Tunica County. So outages are unfortunately going to continue to pop on up. And I said you were pretty much ahead of the game. I mean, we only have technically 11 out there in Tallahatchie. This website, it's going to kind of just lag behind a little bit. And so since it is, let me just take it back to the wall so we can continue tracking out that storm and the warnings that are ongoing. And then we can come back to discuss those outages as they will probably unfortunately continue to build on up. Somebody else in the comments, Shelby, saying, is it going to hit New Albany? Let me zoom that out for you, and we can take a look at that here as we kind of observe these showers and storms continuing to unfortunately bubble up more and more here in North Mississippi. We're seeing that activity continue to stay kind of in the northern half yet again. This is where we saw kind of our storms begin earlier this afternoon. Now, for you guys out here towards Union County, y'all are starting to see maybe some of these showers get closer and closer. Before I zoom in, I'll just show you kind of how it's behaving here before we start talking about New Albany exclusively. I mean, we're dealing with, let's see if it'll catch on up. We were talking about the severe thunderstorm warning, how it started to kind of intensify a little bit further north. That prompted a second warning to be issued. Those are going to continue to shift further and further southeast. So that is the direction that we're going to see, kind of closer towards Pontotoc and Ecru yet again. Unfortunately, I know you guys got hit pretty hard. If y'all were to kind of see anything strong and severe, it's going to be this northern batch, as it could try to kind of make its way closer and closer towards you guys out there in New Albany. But what we're seeing out ahead of it is more and more shower activity starting to form. So we're still dealing with that out ahead of this warning, and two warnings, unfortunately. But for you guys out there in New Albany, not seeing too much activity. We could take a look at our camera coming up here in the next few seconds, but pretty much just west of the city, a little heavier downpour starting to pop up. And for you guys out there towards Flatwood, Esperanza, y'all are starting to deal with some of those showers, not quite waking up to any rumbles of thunder. That continues to be good news, but probably hear those get closer and closer towards you guys. Let's take a look out of our New Albany camera and see. They update. Okay, no, they did not. Okay. Out here in New Albany, let's see if we can switch this to face some of the incoming storms. That way we'll keep having good visuals on them as they make their way closer towards you guys, if they were to make it that far. This is looking south, southwest. We want to look further west. Won't take us too long to see those flashes of lightning. We just saw one a second ago. And we've gone just a little bit too far. And this is actually we're probably looking more at some of the sporadic flashes of lightning a little bit closer towards the Water Valley community, to where it's not quite as consistent. So let's look a little bit further west. There we go. That's probably the severe thunderstorm warning. It's starting to catch up here behind the scenes. Oh, went a little bit too far. Starting to see that pole. There we go. Okay, so that'll have a good visual on some of these showers and storms making its way closer towards you guys in Union County. As of right now, y'all are not having to deal with anything severe, but heading into the next hour or two, we can start to see some of these storms continue to kind of build on up just slightly. There we go with some of those, um, with that camera starting to catch up there in the background with those storms. So I appreciate if that was one of our storm chasers kind of moving it in the background, or if maybe it was just taking that long to catch on up. But we're still taking a look at this severe thunderstorm warning. There are two ongoing. One is set to expire at 2 a.m. The next set to expire at 2:15. So as of right now, we're around 8 to 9 minutes away from that southernmost warning that you can see here from expiring. Hopefully that is the case. But as of right now, we have not seen them kind of take them off early. So we could potentially kind of see this go all the way up towards 2 o'clock before they reevaluate to see whether or not it's worth extending. But I know we'd feel a lot better seeing one less warning here on the map as we want to start drifting back off to sleep. We can take a look at the kind of trend. And it's kind of just doing a mix to where I would say it was starting to kind of weaken a little bit here, but then re-intensify. You can kind of see some of those brighter returns, and then it starts to weaken yet again before wanting to re-intensify. So I'm going to keep my eyes on that. But we're still dealing with some more showers and storms, unfortunately, out ahead for you guys out here towards Calhoun County. And getting closer towards Chickasaw. I know y'all were asking earlier about whether or not y'all are going to get some more showers and storms. Like we keep mentioning, rumbles of thunder and heavy downpours. That's going to be the story heading into your overnight period and into the early morning hours for your Friday. The severe weather, that's going to be a little bit more isolated, and we're not expecting too many reports to be submitted. That has been the case so far as these warnings have kind of marched through the northern portions of the Delta. We have not seen any reports here behind the scenes or with our radar, so we're hoping that continues to be the trend, but we are still seeing these kind of reach that severe criteria and wanted to keep you guys up to date on them continuing to move closer and closer towards you guys. Looks like Courtney's in the chat asking about Grenada. You guys, honestly, I would say sitting probably the best as of right now because of the direction that these continue to move. That should just kind of continue to form right over you guys and just north, not really over as in on top, but with how these have continued to form outside of your county pretty much, I expect that to kind of continue that southeasterly direction. Now for you guys pretty much in the northeasterly portion of Grenada County, you guys could definitely hear some of those rumbles of thunder and feel those heavy downpours. But further out west and kind of west of I-55, I think y'all are still sitting pretty good heading into the next few hours ahead. So hopefully that answers your question. For anybody else tuning in, I might need to send another push alert if we see another severe thunderstorm warning get issued or extended. We are not dealing with anything tornadic tonight. So for you guys kind of up late, wondering whether or not you need to be stressed throughout the next few hours ahead, as long as you are fine understanding that there is no risk for a tornado, and we might deal with some of these severe thunderstorm warnings due to wind gusts and the potential for some hail, and that doesn't bother you, you're good to go to sleep for the rest of the overnight period. We're just dealing with some of these storms trying to be on the stronger side. That unfortunately is just the season we're in here during the summertime months in Mississippi. We've seen them quite often throughout the daytime hours. I think they're going to struggle, continue to struggle throughout the evening overnight period, as we're not seeing it quite as widespread as what we saw earlier. But again, we're not dealing with anything tornadic or any rotation tonight. That is not a threat. It is damaging, maybe straight line wind gusts, the potential for some hail, although I think that will struggle to meet that 1 inch in diameter criteria. Pea to dime to maybe quarter-sized hail continues to be possible. But thankfully, we have not seen any of those comments down. And well, actually, I say that. Looks like we just had somebody on YouTube say Batesville here sounds like it's plenty windy and some hail. So I'd be curious if we are starting to get some hail out there in Batesville. If you see any, please come back in the comments and let us know. Of course, don't go out there looking for it. But I'd be curious to see if those storms out there in Batesville are reporting hail. And of course, send them in with the Mississippi Live Weather app. Not only do we see them, but the National Weather Service out there in Memphis, they see what these storms are producing. That helps them better understand what these storms are capable of and whether or not to continue these warnings, trim them, extend them, kind of just take them off of the board completely. So you guys continue to be just extremely helpful with the reports that you guys have sent in so far today. Hopefully we're not having to send in too many more into the overnight hours. But of course, for you guys out there in Batesville, if y'all see some hail, please let us know so we can get that reported. Barbara saying in Hickory Flat, Mississippi, some lightning, no thunder, but pretty dancing in the sky. I would agree. I think one of the things that we can all enjoy, especially the further away we are from these storms, it's fantastic to watch out there in the distance as they continue to light up the sky, but it's a little different story for those directly under them as we still kind of have to deal with some of those kind of stronger wind gusts and heavier downpours. So let's take another look back out here towards Batesville. I'm curious to see how the scans are looking. Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue these warnings. I mean, lightning just continues to be impressive in the bad way, of course. We just don't want to deal with it. We're up to 1,000 now, 1,033. But it doesn't really show any signs of kind of downtrending. So would not be surprised if they kind of issued another severe thunderstorm warning kind of further downstream. This is going to be for you guys out here towards Water Valley, north of Coffeyville, Oxford, Taylor. You guys might be put under this next severe thunderstorm warning if we were to see one. So we're going to continue to keep our eyes on that here within the next coming minutes, probably closer towards 2 o'clock when this one's set to expire. So I don't think we can get away from that just completely. This one is not set to expire until 2:15. That's further up north for Panola, portions of Marshall and Lafayette. I think that one will probably continue, but I think both will probably get extended here in the coming minutes, especially probably closer towards the 2 o'clock time frame. So we'll be on the lookout for that. We're still seeing more and more development further south-southeast. These showers and storms continuing to kind of bubble on up here in North Mississippi, seeing some of those lightning strikes. Let's take a look kind of through our cameras here as these storms continue to just be disruptive and energetic here in North Mississippi. Saber Knight saying, good night, neighbors. Keep your alerts up in case it gets a little bumpy in the night. I could not agree more. Make sure you have everything kind of turned on just in case some of these storms just continue to misbehave and just really try to give one last push. In fact, let me just come back to this. That way we can still see those warnings that we're talking about. Oh, there we go. There's that warning that has been issued further downstream. So this is now affecting all of you guys out there in Lafayette County, getting closer towards Calhoun County, and eventually into Yalobusha. So we are still going to have to deal with that. It's actually including portions of, oh, there we go, Tallahatchie. Don't know why it was taking too long for that to pop on up, but they did end up issuing that severe thunderstorm warning further on downstream. That is not set to expire until around 3 a.m. So still dealing with some of these showers. Any warnings for Ole Miss? That's perfect timing. Definitely still dealing with that severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for Lafayette County, and that includes Oxford. So Ole Miss's campus, the city of Oxford, everybody within Lafayette County, y'all are under that severe thunderstorm warning. So we want to make sure to continue monitoring that here in the coming minutes, and that is not set to expire for a whole nother hour. So we have a ways to go as the severe thunderstorm warnings continue across North Mississippi. Let me check the Jackson chat. There was a report an hour ago, 2 homes in Clinton, Mississippi, so not in our coverage area, but struck by lightning, resulting in a fire, one on Arrow Drive and one on Pine Haven Place. So if you have any family out there in Clinton, make sure to check up on them, as storms have been not only firing off here in North Mississippi, but pretty much throughout most of the Magnolia State as a whole. And unfortunately, we're still dealing with some of those showers and storms at this moment in time here in the northern half of our viewing area. Now, for you guys out there in Ecru and Pontotoc, I know y'all have received a little bit too much weather today and might have already caused some storm anxiety and PTSD just with how long it lasted earlier. I know you guys are dealing with some of those heavier downpours and showers at this moment in time, but y'all are not dealing with anything severe. So I hope that brings kind of some comfort and ease as y'all can hopefully start to drift back off to sleep. I know y'all might hear quite a few rumbles of thunder continue as these lightning strikes are continuing to build up to just over 1,000. So we're at 1,030 right now at 2 a.m. as our coverage continues. So let's take this moment to kind of reset here, as more warnings have been issued here in North Mississippi. We are covering the severe thunderstorm warning. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut here for Mississippi Live Weather. We're dealing with more strong showers and thunderstorms out there pretty much in the northern half of our viewing area. Severe thunderstorm warnings continue for portions of Calhoun, Lafayette, Panola, Yalobusha, Tallahatchie, Mississippi. So I think I actually just covered all of them. Well, unfortunately, also portions of Tate and Marshall. So we're still dealing with these severe thunderstorm warnings. They are not set to expire until 3 a.m. Of course, we're having a weird overlap unless they're all set to expire. I have to look behind the scenes here on my radar. Okay, there's another one under it that expires in the next 13 minutes. So that was around 2:15. Okay, that makes more sense because I remember having that one earlier, and I didn't think they'd just extend it like that. But this new warning they have pretty much covers the downstream area. So these severe thunderstorm warnings continue to affect us here in North Mississippi. I will say, even outside of our warning area, we're still dealing with these showers and thunderstorms out here towards Calhoun County, getting closer towards you guys just north of Highway 82 and Eupora, out there towards Webster County. Or still dealing in Chickasaw, Pontotoc as well. So even when you're not in the severe thunderstorm warning, we're dealing with some more disruptive storms. So wanting to make sure to stay weather aware into the overnight hours ahead. Cameron said power out in Senatobia Lake. So unfortunately, I think those outages are going to continue climbing. It has been a while since we have checked it last. I know we started touching on it earlier, but you guys are sending those reports in so quick. I think our system just continues to struggle to catch up. Let's see. We're starting to see some out there. Let's take off that aerial flood warning, 0.1%. So it's still going to take a while for these outages to come back up. I wish I had somebody else up here. We can kind of look at it behind the scenes so they could pull it up. But I'm going to keep radar going because I know that's probably our big concern before we start looking at more outages. Let me look at our threats again as these thunderstorms continue to kind of pop up here. Unfortunately, Pontotoc coming in at the highest. Let me see what we're looking at here. Grab my bearings, zoom in more towards these. We're still dealing with those light pink shades, or light shades of pink here, with hail still being a possibility. Say our best bet to see some is just south of 278, just west of Oxford. You can see kind of that darker return starting to pop up a little bit out there in Lafayette County. But again, one thing I want to keep emphasizing is throughout this overnight period when we're talking about these severe thunderstorm warnings, I think wind is more of the primary threat. Hail is that secondary threat to where we can still see pea to dime to maybe even sized hail, but meaning that 1 inch in diameter or more, that is going to be a struggle and kind of an uphill battle as these storms continue to kind of develop and continue here in North Mississippi. I know Ecru and Pontotoc, you guys always want to know, or I wouldn't say always want to know, I think it's a kind of more of a recent development based off what happened today, whether or not you guys could see some of that hail. Ecru looks like there's the possibility that some more hail could be falling for you guys in the northern portions of Pontotoc County. But again, heavy rainfall, I think that's probably the major concern with quite a few lightning strikes ongoing. So
Looks like Abigail is replying to Bailey earlier. Let's see what Bailey said, because she's saying that she's 10 minutes from town and she has power. So again, I think these outages are going to be very isolated. That's one of the things our chief meteorologist, Matt Laubon, he was discussing earlier with kind of this setup that we have and outages. So sorry, I got distracted because I saw this comment. I want to make sure to answer it. You said, is Verona going to get some bad weather before I go to sleep? No tornadoes, right? Absolutely correct. You are not dealing with any tornadoes. That is an answer for all of North Mississippi here. We can zoom this out and kind of change our product here to kind of show what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with tornadoes. So for you guys that are kind of stressed about severe weather and maybe certain threats stress you out a little bit more, as long as you are fine dealing with some heavy rainfall, a little bit energetic and disruptive storms kind of causing those constant rumbles and flashes of lightning and just heavy rain and wind gusts, you're good to go to sleep. We're still dealing with the potential for maybe some hail, straight line wind gusts, and that heavy rainfall. Tornadoes are not on the table. So as long as you're kind of fine dealing with this much needed rain coming in a little bit too hard and fast than what we would like to see, you are good to go. There is no reason to stay up late tonight and worry or stress or be anxious. Y'all are going to be good to go heading into the rest of your overnight period and waking up for your Friday morning. We're just dealing with some of these storms kind of being on the stronger side, bringing some of those straight line wind gusts and the potential for some hail. Looks like our James Bishop back in the chat saying no reports from our pages so far. That continues to be a positive. We also have somebody else here in the comments kind of helping me out behind the scenes. It looks like I just looked at the TV EPA outage map. 500 are out at the moment. So we are starting to see that start to come on in. You said, thank you, Caleb. Of course, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that can help you feel a little bit better, kind of heading back to bed. If it was me personally, I would feel comfortable going to sleep right now and kind of just enjoying the rumbles of thunder and just kind of listening to that before drifting off to sleep. So this is what I personally would describe as perfect sleeping weather, but I know that some of us get a little bit anxious and stressed out with some of these storms. So, well, there we go. Take a look at that. This will be Live Weather app letting me know that lightning has been detected within 10 miles of work. So we're starting to see some of that lightning kind of creep closer and closer towards Lee County here in the downtown Tupelo. My name is Brian, by the way. Okay, perfect, because I couldn't read out your username. It looked like it was one of your tags, so that makes it a little bit easier. Brian, I'll be able to remember that. The rain in Nettleton, it's great background noise for sleeping. Or where is the rain in Nettleton? It looks like you're wishing for it. I think, yeah, I agree with you. I love this type of weather to go to sleep to. I know it could cause a little bit of anxiety and stress some of us out. That's why I want to make sure to keep keeping you guys updated and up to date with what's currently ongoing. But again, best way I can describe it, just kind of some heavy, perfect sleeping weather that's continuing to push into North Mississippi. But we want to make sure to keep you guys updated with these severe thunderstorm warnings. So we're going to continue to monitor that as these warnings continue here in North Mississippi. This is for Lafayette, Calhoun, closer towards the Water Valley and kind of Yalobusha County regions, Panola, portions of Tallahatchie, and even clipping portions of Tate and Marshall. So these warnings are going to continue until 3 o'clock. We do kind of have a second warning embedded within this. You can kind of see kind of a weird shape further up north, and that's for Marshall and Tate. That is set to expire at 2:15. So hopefully we'll start to see that. But I will say, looking at this, sorry, I need to get my bearings here. Let me zoom in. It kind of looks like the storm's almost trying to back build just slightly. I don't think it's been there the entire time. I think it's trying to shift more that way. Or no, it's just kind of been sitting there. Wow. Latest scan put it kind of on top of Tyro around 157. Yeah. And it's just been sitting there. So yeah, I mean, that's why that warning is not being drawn off just completely just yet, because we're still seeing that heavy rainfall and some hefty wind gusts affecting you guys out there towards Tate and Marshall counties right now. So we still have a few minutes, probably around the next 5 minutes. Hopefully we can start to see that portion kind of get clipped out here from that severe thunderstorm warning, and then we should just be dealing with the one that is set to expire around 3 o'clock, and that kind of gives us more time to reevaluate these storms, see if we need more to be issued further downstream. And I will say behind the scenes, I've noticed that there is a special weather statement further downstream for portions of Grenada County. I can kind of draw this out for you guys because we don't really show those special weather statements. It's just something that you would typically see kind of. There's this severe weather warning kind of criteria for severe thunderstorm warnings to get issued. Now, special weather statements are kind of right below it to where, hey, this storm is not meeting the criteria just yet, but maybe we could see that here in the coming minutes or the next few scans, but it's not ready to kind of pull the trigger. And so that's kind of why we don't really have them on there. It'd look way too chaotic. But the reason they have it, it is for pretty much, let me make sure, we'll do blue. I'll draw it out for you guys. Very kind of weird shape. It's kind of encompassing this area as this storm continues to push its way in. So dealing with the special weather statement a little bit further downstream as that storm cluster will continue to make its way further and further southeast, not quite making it to severe weather criteria just yet, but something we want to keep our eyes on here in the next few scans because that continues to be very disruptive and probably waking a few of you guys up there in Calhoun, Webster, and County and Grenada County up a little bit too early than where we wanted to wake on up. It looks like we have Ashley in the comments asking about, is there a hurricane anywhere? No, thankfully we are not dealing with any hurricanes. I haven't checked the National Hurricane Center today just because we've been dealing with so much weather here in North Mississippi, but I don't even think we have any disturbances at this moment in time. The Atlantic has been very quiet. We expect that to continue and kind of be a below average season just with the weather pattern and kind of climate that we're in right now. That goes into a whole different topic, which I'd love to talk about maybe during our broadcast coming up this weekend, which I'll be doing 6, 9, and 10 on Saturdays and Sundays. So we'll start talking about that once we're not talking about severe weather. Somebody else asking, how fast are these storms traveling? Looks pretty slow. I'm glad you mentioned that. That has been the theme a bunch here today with these storms here in North Mississippi. This is not one of those severe weather setups where we see a cold front march through North Mississippi, bringing a strong line of storms just pushing very fast across our region. These are very slow. One thing I do want to mention though is that these are a little bit, I guess you could say, faster than what we were dealing with earlier this afternoon. I mean, some storms were issued only going 5 to 10, maybe 15 miles per hour. These are going at around 25. And I'll take a look here to make sure that has not sped on up. Let's see what that new warning has said. Okay, perfect. So these are starting to kind of speed up a little bit, which we could put a storm track on this. But it's kind of, they're just so disorganized. It's hard to kind of track out whether or not, like kind of where these blips are and where they're going to be. Let's see here. Catch up on this chat behind the scenes. Make sure there's no new updates. Okay, so that's moving, 40 miles an hour. I mean, I still think that's probably overdoing it. But we're still seeing those continue to move further and further southeast. If you guys want to see the direction on where it's heading, it continues to dig further in that southeastern direction. We kind of saw that development a little bit out ahead of it, continue to kind of build up its strength, bring some of those lightning strikes, but still very, very disorganized. We're really not talking about anything organized or kind of I guess cluster. And wow, hold on just a minute. Let me just make sure I'm looking at this right. I have it framed up. Okay, perfect. We actually might hopefully be on the downward swing of things. I know it still looks very chaotic and hectic, but one thing I want to point out, take a look at our total strikes. We're now below 1,000. So we were quickly skyrocketing with those total strikes, but starting to hopefully start to see a decline. Now we're down to 975, which means that these storms are overall starting to maybe start their decaying phase or start to dissipate. Now, unfortunately, that is where we start to see kind of this severe weather a little bit more prominent, as everything that works its way up must come down, unfortunately. So we'll have to
keep our eyes on that, but that is definitely a good sign to see. Some people in the comments asking about what about Pontotoc? What about Guntown? And somebody else in the comments right on cue asked about Pontotoc as well. So let's cover those areas really quick. We'll just go east of our warning and try to kind of cover all. I don't know if I can get Pontotoc and Guntown kind of within the same frame. There we go. So you guys are starting to deal with some of those showers and rumbles of thunder. Again, not dealing with anything severe at this moment. You guys were dealing with that earlier on today. But at this moment in time, y'all are not dealing with any severe thunderstorm warnings. As long as you're fine still hearing a few rumbles of thunder, some heavier downpours kind of within the city and y'all's county, y'all are still good to go back to sleep. There's still potential that some of these storms kind of behind me here could start to shift and push closer into Pontotoc County. But what this storm is bringing is nowhere near what it was bringing earlier today, and in a positive way. I don't want to say that to scare you like it's going to be worse. In fact, this is dramatically kind of less intense than what Pontotoc and Ecru had to go through earlier this afternoon. It could still bring some damaging straight line wind gusts, that I still want to emphasize, but the overall hail threat, that was a big concern across most of Pontotoc County with a lot of reports and pictures that you guys have sent in. We are not expecting that into the next hour or two here. So we're going to still deal with some of these heavier downpours, quite a few rumbles of thunder. Maybe a warning could get extended within Pontotoc County, but not going to be near as intense. So I hope that answers your question out there in Pontotoc. For you guys asking about Guntown, y'all continue to stay dry, but notice how we're seeing some of these showers continue to kind of ripple and pop up here in North Mississippi, and we can continue to see that same development get closer and closer towards you guys, but overall the intensity, severe weather, that continues to stay a little bit further on towards the west. Caitlin just asked any tornadoes, and somebody already out in the comments helping me out, replying, say no tornadoes tonight. So yes, y'all are listening. Y'all are doing a great job. Very excited to see everybody helping each other out in the comments. No, we are not expecting any tornado threat tonight. If that is the only reason you are stressed up late tonight wondering, and that's what's keeping you up, you might as well go to bed. You are good to go. Get your beauty rest. Get ready for your Friday morning. It's going to be beautiful. We're starting off in the low 70s, enjoying mostly dry skies, but a few showers and maybe rumble still kind of lingering. But you're going to be good to go throughout the rest of the overnight period. So no need to worry about tornadoes. We are going to be good to go throughout the rest of the overnight period. We're just kind of dealing with some wind and the potential for some hail. So let's continue to take a look at the severe thunderstorm warning. You'll notice we're now just talking about the singular one, and that is going to continue all the way towards 3 a.m. So we still have a ways to go. But this is for you guys out there in Yalabusha, Calhoun, Lafayette, Tate, Panola, and I think they clipped portions of Tallahatchie. So that continues all the way towards 3 a.m. where we're dealing with that warning. With how disorganized this continues to be and the downtrend I'm seeing on lightning, I would like to say I think we've already kind of gone through our peak, and that's a little bit quicker than what we had to deal with throughout our afternoon and evening, and that's what we keep mentioning for this overnight setup on if we could get a second batch of showers and storms, with a few of those being on the stronger side. It's not going to be as long-lived or as not really long-lived, long-lasting through North Mississippi as what we had to deal with throughout our afternoon, evening hours. And that's because the sun was shining. It was shining all day, warming the surface up, allowing all those parcels, those clouds to continue rising. And what's happening right now are kind of the leftovers. So these storms are just kind of feeding off of anything it can get its hands on. Unfortunately, with Mississippi in the summertime months, that's still enough for these storms to be strong and capable of producing severe weather threats. But thankfully, they're not going to continue for too much longer. So we want to continue to keep you guys updated and online as these severe thunderstorm warnings continue. But I would not be surprised if we could hopefully not see too many more heading into the evening, especially with how these lightning strikes really start to continue their downward trend. And these storms out ahead of it not being warned yet either. I'm not really seeing that intensity. And that continues to be a great sign. So let's take a look here. Yeah, we're getting closer and closer towards Columbus radar site. So let's keep it there. And we'll take a look at our threats. Yeah, I mean, even this is looking great. I mean, I know we still see some of that pink kind of within all of the green. I will say there's a lot more green than pink. So heavy rainfall, that continues to be a primary concern over hail. but we're not really seeing, okay, that's a road. I thought we were starting to see some of those darker returns, but that's just one of our highways. I think that's Highway 9. We're not seeing those darker returns of hail. You can see here on our confidence, whether or not kind of we're confident or not, we're seeing a lot of the lowest scale here, or lowest shade on our scale before, which means that we're not really dealing with that hail quite as relevant here in North Mississippi. So thankfully that continues to be a positive trend, and I'm expecting that to kind of continue. Now our total strikes are now down to 865. That is absolutely fantastic to see. And honestly, I don't know if that gets you excited, but that gets me excited, because hopefully that means we're not going to see too much more. Now, speaking of seeing, let's go look through our cameras while I continue to monitor the chat. What's it looking like for Tillatoba and Coffeyville right now? Oh, Pittsburgh got struck by lightning, unless it's back. What's it looking like for Tillatoba and Coffeyville right now? You guys are dealing with some of these showers and storms. You can see actually right here with our camera, Coffeyville within that severe thunderstorm warning. Now y'all are kind of surrounded by these storms. I would say the overall severe weather within that warning is not quite as impressive as what it was earlier when we started this. And even the storms kind of outside of that warning, we're not seeing that continue or any warnings get extended downstream. So that is very impressive. So you guys dealing with some of those showers, rumbles, heavy downpours right now. But again, not dealing with anything tornadic. Hail, it's really struggling. But we want to make sure to keep you guys updated here as this warning continues. Let's continue just looking through our cameras here. I want to zoom this back out, and then we'll just take a look at this in the grand scheme of things as that warning continues. I'll have to start switching our camera views. I really hope our Maven camera is still working. It is. We're going to probably get a great shot if I can change this. Yep, that's already what I was trying to get it to. Let's try to look a little bit more northwest. Bear with me behind the scenes as I kind of go through all our cameras and start to rotate it. Southwest. Don't want to go too fast. I always tend to overshoot it. Well, I didn't do it for that long, but it seems to still be going. Wow. I thought I did really well that time. And that time it barely goes anywhere. I just don't understand it. I really thought I was going to have that one. All right, let's continue shift it just a little bit more to the left. Get a good shot. Freeze. Boom. There we go. Most of that lightning happening behind me, so I'll get out of the way. That way I can show off the view we got here. But again, constant flashes of lightning, very disruptive, I think it's right to say annoying that it continues kind of waking some of us up here in North Mississippi just with the constant flashes and deep rumbles. So I think we're just going to continue to have to deal with that today. But if we look at our radar, they just, I'll just be honest with what we're seeing here in the warning. It's not impressive, like what we were seeing earlier on when these warnings started to get issued. I'll say it's more disorganized. All these storms are fighting over the same fuel and energy that's barely left over from storms that occurred earlier on yesterday, kind of throughout our afternoon and evening hours. So I will say that it just really continues to not be impressive here. Let's come back. Oh, okay. I was wondering, I was like, why did our lightning strikes go back up? It's up to 1100 and we didn't make it that far, but it's picking up on quite a few strikes out there, closer and closer towards the Birmingham community. So thankfully, that is not the story for us, at least not 1100. We are actually going to deal with, let's get a good accurate reading. We'll kind of keep it here in North Mississippi, away from the storms out there in Alabama. And we, ladies and gentlemen, are now below 400. So we are now coming in at around 795. I really think these storms are really starting to kind of downtrend with its overall intensity. It's very disorganized. All these storms are fighting over kind of the same space and fuel and energy that the atmosphere just doesn't really have that much to give out right now. So I'm not expecting this to continue for too much longer. So very exciting news. We're at around 200, or not 225. We're at 225 right now, about 35 minutes away from that severe thunderstorm warning to expire. And maybe we can even see that expire a little bit earlier. Somebody, it looks like Allison in the comments saying just stopped in Ecru. That is fantastic news to hear. I know you guys went through a lot earlier this afternoon. I know y'all don't want another round. Andy saying it's just some strong wind. And Megan McCoy, nothing serious. Yeah, again, this is something that we don't really want to say nothing serious just because, I mean, damaging wind gusts, they can still cause some damage. We saw that earlier today, and we want to stay weather aware throughout every severe weather event, and this is what we still want to stay weather aware for. But I'll say the overall intensity, not like what we dealt with yesterday afternoon and into the evening. So that continues to be positive. We could still see some of these damaging wind gusts, but I would agree that that tornado threat, it's not there. We're not dealing with that. It's just more kind of damaging straight line winds, the potential for some hail, even though that continues to really fall off within the past few scans, and then heavy, heavy downpours. Somebody else in the comments asking, is Tulsa, Oklahoma okay? I'm gonna be honest, I forecasted for North Mississippi, so do not get mad at me if I do not know the answer to this, but we can take a look here to see if there are any warnings out there, and I don't see any. So we're dealing with our warning here in North Mississippi, but as far as Oklahoma goes, I think we're sitting pretty, which I can change it to our national radar just to double check everything. I mean, there's a few storms kind of ongoing out there. Pushing closer towards Arkansas. I can see what you mean in Tulsa, kind of seeing some of those storms, but honestly, I'd say those are less intense than what we're dealing with here in North Mississippi. So hopefully that answers your question. Oh, and Andy, I see what you mean. You were talking about, I meant like tornadoes. No, I'm definitely not getting on. I completely agree with you. I think this is a good mindset to be in, to where we don't really want to stress or worry about the overnight period. We want to still be weather aware. But yeah, no, we're really not dealing with too much, and especially out there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So hopefully that answers your question. It looks like it was Brianna asking, so hopefully that can help you out. I believe it was Brian saying it's just steady rain with a little thunder here in Batesville right now. Starting to see that continue to downtrend. That continues to be excellent news. Andy, thank you again for helping me out earlier, helping to answer those questions. I appreciate seeing all of you guys help each other out. Looks like Megan just said in the comments, the weather call did its job and woke me up. Glad nothing serious going on. I'm about to go back to sleep. Good night, Coffeeville. That is very exciting to hear. Glad to hear that weather call continues to be an important tool that we talk about a lot. I hope all of you guys kind of have all those tools in the tool belt. That's what my dad taught me growing up, to always be prepared. And we can have several tools in our tool belt, weather related, to make sure we are ready for any strong to severe weather that makes its way into North Mississippi. Now, I was also catching up on the comments. Megan McCoy saying that she was terrified, or is currently terrified. Please let me know where you're at here in North Mississippi, or kind of what's going on for you. I'd love to help to make yourself feel better, so you can be like the other Megan, saying that she's going back to sleep and ready to get some rest. There is no reason to stress. We just want to continue kind of talking about this severe thunderstorm warning that is still ongoing here in North Mississippi. I want to keep it kind of more focused here further up north, just so we're not factoring in those other lightning strikes out there in Alabama, so we can continue to see how this progresses. We're down to 730. I think we're going to be below 700 here pretty soon, guys. That's going to be exciting news. Teresa saying, thanks for keeping us safe. God bless. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you can get some good rest
throughout the rest of your night. Andy Johnson saying that's what woke me. Also very excited to hear Weather Call is working for you as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot. We want to make sure to keep you guys updated no matter what time of the day or night it is. Jay says on the road currently near Oxford, it's pouring. And then, oh, everybody, all these comments are coming in pretty quick. I'm starting to miss out on some of them. Let me see if I can scroll up so I don't miss any questions. Somebody asking Water Valley, question mark, question mark, question mark. I know that is probably definitely a question you are curious about, as y'all are pretty much still within that severe thunderstorm warning with quite a few storms kind of around you guys. Rumbles continue to go off and on, and not really off and on, pretty much nonstop. You guys are still under that severe thunderstorm warning. I will say this continues to look very disorganized and non-impressive here. Let's take a look at our peak threats. We haven't checked that in a hot minute. And I'm not expecting much. Yeah, there we go. A lot more green compared to that pink. That's starting to barely show up. Batesville coming in completely green. That continues to be impressive. But if we were talking about hail, I mean, this is peak impact. So worst case scenario, and we're on the smallest portion or lowest scale. So that continues to be a positive here in North Mississippi. So not really dealing with anything quite as intense as what it was. Tammy saying Coffeyville, Mississippi got hammered about 2 a.m. High winds, rain, lightning, thunder, but it didn't really last a long time west of Coffeyville. We pray that you keep everyone safe tonight. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. It means a lot that you guys are staying safe and tuning in. Brian also tuning in, saying praying for a safe and restful rest of the night. Caleb, get some sleep, buddy. I'm ready. I'm excited to get some sleep, but I'm going to wait until, oh, I looked away and the warning is gone. Wow. Well, I was about to say I'm going to wait until there's no more warnings, but it looks like we're about there. So I'm going to keep this going for the next few minutes just because we are still talking about a few thunderstorms. I'm really not expecting these to really continue, especially after they pulled off that severe thunderstorm warning. These continue to be very disorganized. But yes, I say all of y'all, no matter where y'all are here in North Mississippi, let me zoom this out. That way you guys can kind of see what we're looking at. We're still dealing with quite a few thunderstorms, some much needed rainfall, and I think this is now officially the perfect weather that we can fall asleep to tonight. We're not dealing with any severe thunderstorm warnings. We're dealing with much needed rainfall, few rumbles of thunder, flashes of lightning. This is going to be fantastic to fall asleep to. So all of you guys can kind of feel a little bit more at peace as y'all head back to sleep, or at least can fall back asleep if you guys have woken up to quite a few rumbles of thunder here in North Mississippi. It's safe to say that we are doing a lot better. Garrett saying, we love you, Caleb. You're amazing. Be safe. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you guys, especially with how late it is, taking the time to kind of turn back on that screen, tune in, and just kind of wake up for a little bit as we continue to monitor these storms. It means a lot to me to see you guys come in here, chat with me, kind of gives me somebody to talk to and helps me talk back to y'all to keep you guys updated. So all of y'all seem to be very thankful. And I am just extremely thankful for you guys tuning in. So it means a lot. We're continuing to look a lot better here in North Mississippi. I might wrap this up just because my jaw is unfortunately really starting to hurt. I don't think I've done this much talking in a long time, but I'm going to just stay up here for the next few minutes just in case any of these warnings do start to kind of creep back in, but I'm just really not expecting that here. So James Bishop, he's saying working on getting a street's name, but got a report of trees down throughout Independence. Okay, perfect. So we are starting to see some of those reports, at least not perfect in the sense that we are getting the reports, but at least we will know kind of where exactly that was and when it was. Hoping we're not going to get too many more here. Looks like in the other group chat, he said that it was Strickland Road. So might see one of those reports come in soon. Looks like Breeze, sorry for a peace of mind. How is Athens, Alabama? Well, let's double check. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to use my GPS here behind the scenes to look at Athens, Alabama, because my Alabama geography, not quite impressive. I'll let you know it's 105 miles away from downtown Tupelo, in case any of y'all were wondering. Okay, it's close to Huntsville. Let's see.
I know you guys are kind of dealing with some of those showers and storms, but based off first looks, of course, this is our Columbus um, radar site. Let's switch it over to Birmingham. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Athens. Yeah, y'all are sitting very well. Y'all dealt with quite a few storms and showers that moved through earlier on yesterday evening and into the overnight. Um, but yeah, no, y'all are good. Y'all are staying dry and honestly doing a lot better than how North Mississippi is looking just because we're dealing with more rainfall. That doesn't mean we're sitting bad. I say we're sitting very well compared to where we were the past few hours, but y'all are staying completely dry. Now, of course, this looks a little bit more intense because we're looking out of the Birmingham radar. Let's look a little bit closer here to put it all in perspective. I hope that makes you guys feel a little bit better. Strickland Road in Independence. Thank you so much, James. We have rain or ran. I'm sorry, the chat is very tiny here on my monitor. Let me double check this chat really quick to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, yes, back to that comment. Sorry, the ADHD. How are we looking in Algoma? Can I go to sleep? Yes, no, you are perfectly fine to go to sleep. We can take a look here, see if we can pop that up here on our radar. Okay, I'm kind of moving in. I think I'm starting to cover it up just a little bit. There we go. Algoma. You guys kind of seeing some of those showers and rumbles of thunder a little bit north, closer towards Pontotoc. That's pretty much just right along Highway 278. But I will, again, for any of you guys asking about kind of can you go to sleep, no matter where you are here in our coverage area, even for Athens, Alabama, it seems like you were checking in for one of your best friends, so now you feel a little bit more at ease. So I'm glad that helped. But no matter where you are here in our coverage area, it is safe to go to sleep. I would feel completely comfortable falling asleep in these conditions. So no matter where you are, I know we're still dealing with quite a few showers and rumbles of thunder, but those are really continuing to downtrend into the next few minutes. It has been throughout the past, I'd say 30 minutes. And we're not even dealing with any severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. So that continues to be positive. For you guys a little bit further southeast, we could start dealing with some of those heavier downpours and rumbles of thunder throughout the coming maybe 30 minutes to an hour. But the intensity, I really think we're past the peak and we're not going to continue dealing with that into the next few hours ahead. So again, constant rumbles of thunder, constant flashes of lightning, heavy downpours. Maybe you could hear the wind howl a little bit and kind of whistle outside. But I think a few of us have already talked about it. Perfect sleeping weather. Y'all are going to be good to go throughout the rest of the evening overnight period ahead. So I'm going to wrap this up here so we can get some rest. That way I don't keep you guys up any longer than you have to be. I know we're all tired and ready for our Friday and a much drier weekend. So I appreciate all of you guys so much for tuning in. It means the world to me, and I appreciate that I could keep you guys updated with these thunderstorms. If you haven't done so already, please download the Mississippi Live Weather app, download, install, and purchase Weather Call. It will keep you up to date and safe. I just appreciate all of you guys for tuning in late at night and allowing us to keep you safe and updated here with us in North Mississippi. So it means a lot. I know y'all are all tired, ready to go to bed and kind of get ready for our Friday. We have some Friday night football games coming up tomorrow night. Very excited to do that during our 5, 6, 9, and 10 o'clock broadcast. So we'll have the very latest for you coming up then. But of course, we also have our morning broadcast at 6:30, 7, and 7:30 with our morning meteorologist, Maggie McCauley. She'll make sure she will give you everything you need to know as you're walking out the door to get ready for your Friday. And it's going to be a great day. So I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a safe night. Continue to stay weather aware. I'll be here throughout the next few minutes and make sure everything continues to behave. I'm not too worried about that. So y'all continue to have a good night's sleep. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Mississippi Live.